YouTube? This is Dan here from How To Skateboards, and today I'm going to show you some of the first skateboard tricks you should learn on transition at the skate park. If you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you know how to ride up and down a ramp to fakie on a skateboard. I assume that you also know how to kick turn, and maybe you know how to pump as well. If you don't know how to do any of that, watch our video on how to skateboard at the skate park. That'll give you a basic 101 on how to maneuver around at the skate park. That's going to be super helpful to learning your first tricks on transition. Now there are 3 tricks I would say you should learn first, and you can learn them in any order. The first one is the backside slash grind. Second is the rock to fakie, and third is the fakie tail stall. From there you can level up into other tricks, which we're going to go over as well. So let's get started with the backside slash. To perform a backside slash, all you need to do is a backside kick turn, but you need to overshoot it a little bit, whereas your trucks make contact with the coping. So all you need to do here is do a backside kick turn, go a little higher than you normally would, and just be ready to make contact with the coping and dismount from it. Higher and higher. For all these tricks, learn it on the smallest ramp at your skate park, and do be aware that pool coping is going to be a lot more gritty, a lot harder to dismount from than metal coping. So pool coping is going to be a lot more challenging. Try these on metal coping to start if that exists at your skate park. The next trick is going to be the rock to fakie. This trick is very scary to learn at first. It's all about commitment and confidence. What you're going to do is you're going to ride up the ramp. Your board is going to be decked out like this. So your front trucks are going to be over the coping. Your back trucks are still going to be inside the coping. Then you're going to apply some pressure to your tail to get the board to roll back down fakie. Before trying this trick, be very comfortable rolling up and down a ramp fakie. You'll probably want to learn this motion on a bank first because a bank has no coping. The number one thing that happens on this trick is people get hung up, their front truck gets caught on the coping, and they go flying backwards. That's why this trick is very terrifying and scary to learn, but once you get in the feel of it, you'll only know how to come out of it landing. So the more you think about falling, the more likely you're going to fall on this trick. But once you get in the mindset of landing this trick, it'll be very easy for you and one of the easiest tricks to do on transition. The reason it's called a rock is because you're rocking back and forth. So just be very mindful as you approach the coping. Once your front truck goes over the coping, apply some pressure to your front foot to stay balanced. Then release that pressure and apply the majority of your weight to your back foot until your wheel has cleared the coping. And once your front trucks are back inside the ramp, that's when you can apply the pressure back down to your front trucks. Learn this on the smallest, most mellow ramp possible, and definitely do not learn it on pool coping first. The next trick you should try is probably the fakie tail stall. If you're skating on a mini ramp, it's very easy to do a rock to fakie and then do a tail stall fakie right after that. Before trying this trick, you should be able to drop in because this trick is pretty much like doing a drop in. The only difference is you're rolling into it fakie and you have to time it right to lock in. So to time it, keep your eye on the coping as you approach it. Then right before your back trucks are about to clear the coping, instead of allowing them to clear the coping, apply some pressure to your back foot. That's going to let the tail tap down on the coping and get you in a stall. Then quickly, you're going to want to stomp back down on that front foot as you would for a drop in to dismount. If you haven't learned how to drop in yet, we have a video on that as well, so go check that one out before you learn this trick. The next trick to try from there is the backside axle stall. You probably need to learn how to slash grind before you do this trick, and you'll probably need to be able to drop in as well. For an axle stall, your board is going to look like this. Both trucks are going to be up on top of the coping. The lock-in is actually initiated with the back trucks. So as you approach the coping, do a kick turn into it as you would for a slash grind, but go straight into the ramp as opposed to really approaching it at an angle. If you really carve into it too much, you're going to start grinding, which is why you want to approach it pretty straight on. As your back truck is about to make contact with the coping, you really want to give it a nudge with your toes. You want to really dig it in, lock it in. Then once your back truck is locked in, stomp your front truck down so that it is also on top of the coping. Most of your weight for this trick the entire time is going to be on your toes. So your back foot toes are really going to dig into the board, into the coping, and initiate that lock in. But to stay in the stall, you may want to shift some weight to your heels to keep you stable up on top of the coping. Then back to your toes to axle drop back in. It's important that you practice the axle drop in motion. That's going to get you really comfortable with this trick. So practice standing on top of the coping like this. Ideally, you want this wheel pretty much inside of the ramp when you're dropping back. And this drop in motion is really all in the toes. It's all in this back foot toe. You want to lean into the ramp, turn your shoulders back in, and drop in as you normally would. Ideally, when you're dropping back in, you want most of your wheels hanging into the ramp like this. You can wiggle your trucks back and forth to get the understanding and feel of this. When you're standing on top of the coping, you want your wheel securely locked in. You're dropping back in, you want your back wheel now snug up against so that it's easy to dismount. Now on your first learning axle stalls, you won't be comfortable to get all the way on top of the coping. You might want to do these little mini versions of the axle stall where you're not fully on top of it, but you're kind of halfway on the coping, halfway still in the ramp, and that's just going to get you comfortable with the motion until you're ready to ride all the way up the ramp, lock in, and stand all the way on top. So progress to this trick by learning how to slash grind, then do these little mini axle stalls, then when you're ready, get all the way on top of the coping and commit. Now the next trick to learn, which you may learn accidentally when practicing axle stalls, is the Feeble stall. The Feeble stall is just like an axle stall. The only difference is your front truck is not locked into the coping. It's on top of the ramp, angled slightly so that your back truck is locked into the coping and your front truck is just on top of the ramp. The main difference between doing this trick and the axle stall is this trick is a little harder to drop in, out of, and dismount from. You need to turn your shoulders a little more aggressively and really bend your knees, be one with the board to successfully dismount and not get hung up. Now another trick you could try at this point in time is the frontside slash. For most people, tricks on transition are a lot harder to do frontside. But this varies by each person. Some people, for whatever reason, find frontside easier than backside. The reason most people find backside tricks easier on transition is because when you're frontside, you're pretty blind to where your board is going to go when it comes to dismounting from the stall. When you're up on top of the ramp, for an axle stall backside, for example, you can see inside the entire ramp. You can see where your board is about to go when you're dismounting from the stall. But with frontside, you're pretty blind. So you have to be pretty skilled to do this. So doing a frontside slash is just like doing a backside slash, but you really have to turn your shoulders and be very comfortable with frontside kick turns. From there, just like we did backside axle stalls, you can progress to a frontside axle stall. But I will warn you, this is a lot harder, a lot more challenging. You really need to look where you're going. Turn your head, turn your shoulders aggressively, because you will be blind when dismounting from the stall, unless you look over your shoulders. Now I'm going to show you two more tricks, and your success on these may vary. These are a little more challenging, depending on your comfort level doing different things. So for one of the final tricks, what I'm going to show you is the Fakey rock, or the Fakey disaster. You're going to want to roll into this trick Fakey, and the setup is going to be very similar to the Fakey tail stall. The only difference is you're not going to apply pressure to your tail before your back truck hits the coping. Instead, you're going to allow your back truck to clear the coping. And this is done by continuing your momentum Fakey as you clear the ramp. So instead of pressing down on your tail, you almost want to fling it backwards. So you almost want to pump it a little bit back. You can also learn how to get a little bit of air on these tricks. That's done by applying a little pressure to your tail as you approach the coping, but then lifting up your knees, tucking your knees so that the board elevates, gets some air, and then locks into the coping. Dismounting from this stall is probably the hardest part. You'll want to release some weight from that back foot to allow the board to continue and permit your back truck's back wheels to clear the coping and roll back into the ramp. Much like the rock to Fakey, this trick is a lot about commitment, so slowly work your way into it. that is what you want to avoid. So pay attention, be alert, be aware, and be mindful of how you distribute weight between your front foot and back foot as you dismount. There, I had too much pressure on my back foot, so I got locked up and I went flying. Now the final trick I'm going to show you is the rock and roll, the backside rock and roll, which is a lot easier than the frontside rock and roll. For the same reasons why the frontside kick turn is way harder than the backside kick turn. Because with the rock and roll backside, you can see where your board is going to go. Frontside, you're pretty blind. So the backside rock and roll is pretty much a combination of the rock to fakie and the kick turn. You're going to want to lock into the rock just as you would for a rock to fakie, but turn your shoulders and kick turn out of it, backside. Turning your shoulders ahead of time is very important to this trick, and quickly shifting weight from your front truck to your back truck is going to be very important. The weight shift is going to be super quick and explosive, and then you're going to do a quick kick turn out of it. Common mistakes is you might get locked up on it, so that's why you want to be really deliberate and focused on how you dismount from the stall. Challenge yourself and give this one a try, but not a lot of people do this trick, but it is a great trick to do on transition for sure. Thank you for watching today. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope now you can go to the skate park and learn some new tricks on transition. If you have any questions, drop a comment below and I'll be happy to address.